On Edge, my friends, good morning. My name is Gershy Schwarcz and I'm your host. On Edge, today is Chuf Aleph Cheshvan Tuvshim Pai Vuv, Tuesday, Parshas Chai Sorah. Good morning. On Edge is powered by Yiddish24 and provided to you by The Click. The Click is one of the most, the biggest networks that provide you all the knowledge you need to know about the area in New Jersey and maybe widespread. I even saw they have groups for minyanim all over the world. So yeah, you can find minyanim everywhere, literally in every airport. So check out The Click. Let's jump right to it. I have to apologize yesterday when I was talking about my brother's birthday and then compared it to, said that he shares the same birthday with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and then it said Lahavdal, I meant with Jonathan Sachs Yotzeit, because I was kind of trying to differentiate between the alive people and the past people. So I wanted to say Lahavdal L'chaim L'chaim. So people have mentioned it to me and I felt it's important to bring it up. Anyway, let's jump right to it, shall we? First of all, NYRE course, the New York real estate course. If you want to make a bunch of money, go into real estate. And there's a course given by Aaron Gottlieb in Yiddish, which will take place in Monsey and in Borough Park very soon. There's only less than 4 days left to sign up. So if you haven't signed up, sign up now. Time is now 718-298-2559 and mention on Edge to get a good price. Let's talk about the news. Israeli President Yitzhak Herzog said that he got a letter from the US President Donald J. Trump asking him to pardon Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. For those who remember, Trump, when he visited Israel and he spoke at the Knesset, he actually mentioned that. We'll follow soon. Let's go into the news. Herzog's office said he cannot begin a pardon only because an American leader asked. Trump wrote, "I hereby call on you to fully pardon Benjamin Netanyahu, who has been formidable and a decisive wartime prime minister." He added that the case against Netanyahu is political, unjustified prosecution. Trump also tied his request to recent events. He said that after a fragile ceasefire in Gaza and keeping Hamas in check, it is time to let Bibi unite Israel by pardoning him. Netanyahu is on trial in 3 corruption cases. For those who don't know, let me give you the details. He denies all wrongdoing, and no verdict has been given so far. So, one case says he and his wife, Sarah Netanyahu, accepted more than $260,000 in luxury gifts, such as cigars, jewelry, and champagne from billionaires in exchange for favors, which is illegal, as you know. 2 other cases say he tried to trade help for better coverage from Israeli media outlets. Last month, during a speech, like I just said before, in Israel's parliament, in the Knesset, Trump said, off script, that a pardon for Netanyahu just seems to make so much sense, doesn't it? And everyone erupted in laughter. The president didn't seem to laugh so much about that, President Herzog. Let's talk about another president. Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara. For all of you who know already, we mentioned on Edge, he visited the White House through the back door. Remember that? Well, he says Syria will not be joining the Abraham Accords, like Trump likes to say. We're not going to enter into a direct negotiations right now, he says. I believe Syria's situation is different from those who joined the Abraham Accords. Syria shares a border with Israel. Maybe the United States administration, with President Donald J. Trump, will help us reach that kind of a negotiation in the future. President Trump reportedly gifted al-Shara a red MAGA hat. Al-Shara, who previously known as Jolani from the ISIS, you remember that? He's a previous ISIS member, said that he will bring it back with him to Syria. While in Washington, President Ahmad al-Shara met with Rabbi Yosef Hamra, and representatives of the Jewish Heritage Foundation. They blessed him, benched him, and thanked him for supporting the return of Jews to Syria. For those of you who know, some prominent Jews from our nation and from our capital, and also from New Jersey, Lakewood, have been to Syria. On Monday, President Macron met, since the fall, of the regime, obviously there. On Monday, President Macron met in Paris with Palestinian Authority leader Mahmoud Abbas. After the meeting, Macron announced that France and the PA, Palestinian Authority, will form a joint committee to help build a future Palestinian state. He said France will help draft a Palestinian constitution and support building Palestinian government institutions as well. Macron added that any Israeli annexation of parts of the West Bank would be a red line. France already recognized the state of Palestine back in September. Remember, they were the first to jump the gun. Macron says now is the time to push forward the 2-state solution after the war in Gaza and the fragile ceasefire. France banned 8 Israeli defense firms from attending a major security expo in Paris, then reversed the decision the same day. On Sunday, French officials told Israel that 8 Israeli companies would not be allowed to take part in the Milipol Paris arms exhibition. The reason given was that the participation would pose a problem given the current situation in Gaza. Israel responded sharply. Officials warned that the response would be severe. Later that same day, Israel's foreign minister Gideon Sa'ar received an official message from France. All Israeli defense companies would now be allowed to participate. A French official said the reversal was a French decision and not the result of Israeli pressure. Well, we all know when they cry, it means that it actually happened. Don't we all know that already? Anyway, so this is Milipol Paris. Whoever wants to attend that expo is more than welcome to buy a ticket, because guess what? Government shutdown is over, and now traffic controllers are going back because they're getting a $10,000 stipend from Trump for staying put, and the other guys are scared that their paychecks are going to get docked. So yes, flights are resuming as normal, hopefully. I didn't hear the news, but we'll obviously share it with you once that's true. Milipol Paris, by the way, is one of the world's largest defense and homeland security expos, just so you know. Let's talk about something major. So those who are not going to be at the expo will miss out on this major big tech development, Protobyte. I don't know if they're going to have a booth there, but they should probably, right? Anyway, Protobyte is one of the biggest and largest tech developments in our times, because they have managed to put together, yes, with all the AI and everything, but the tech experts, they actually write code, not just like Wix and all these other, they program custom-made software for your company. Forget all that all these subscriptions that accumulate into major big bills. Instead, call 347-354-1237, or you can always visit proto-byte.com and speak with my friends at Protobyte, and they will help you get a good system, a good up-and-running system, applications, apps, for the Shomrim in England uses them already. Many big companies have used their services and are always happy with them because they don't have to do a thing. They do everything for you. Okay, Protobyte. Pakistan's defense minister says the country is now in a state of war again. Pakistan has been in war recently, for those of you forgot, with India, and Trump has obviously made a ceasefire there and made a deal with them. What happened now? 12 people were killed and 27 injured in a suicide bombing outside a court in Islamabad on Tuesday. The attacker, which is yesterday, the attacker targeted a police vehicle near the court entrance. A group linked to Pakistan Taliban called Jamaat-ul-Ahrar, took responsibility. They said the attack was aimed at judges and lawyers enforcing what they call un-Islamic laws. Imagine that. Pakistan's officials also blamed India for the bombing. Though India denied it, the defense minister said bringing this war to Islamabad is a message from Kabul, and warned Pakistan would respond. Perhaps another war for Trump to solve, huh? Yeah, where's he up to? Number 9? Now this is number 10, I guess. Cambodia says it wants peace, but a broader truce with Thailand is falling apart. Prime Minister Hun Manet, did I pronounce it well? You'll tell me afterwards. Backed a ceasefire planned back in July, and later signed the Kuala Lumpur Peace Accord with Thailand in October, where Trump was attended. The deal was supposed to end months of deadly clashes along the border, for those who remember. But this week, things took a different turn. A landmine exploded near the Thai soldiers, and Bangkok now says it will suspend the ceasefire. Thai officials accuse Cambodia of failing to follow the agreement and say they're informing the US and ASEAN leaders about this breach. Meanwhile, tensions are rising again. Cambodia has accused Thailand of using psychological warfare, including blasting ghost sounds through loudspeakers at night. I guess they're taking a page out of North Korea's book. Anyway, let's continue. So far, the US, this is war number 11 for Trump to solve. So I guess it's not really war number 11 because he counts it as one of the 9 wars that they already solved, or 8 wars. What am I up to? I don't know. Anyway, the point is that he counts it one of those wars that he's going to solve, and it basically reopened again. So far, the US military campaign has carried out 19. Oh, and speaking of wars, another war. This is number 11. This is number 11, probably. So far, the US military campaign has carried out 19 confirmed strikes on suspect drug smuggling vessels in the Caribbean Sea and the Eastern Pacific Ocean since early September 2025. Yesterday, the USS Gerald R. Force Carrier Strike Group entered the US Southern Command Zone to support the operations against narco-terrorism. It's the world's largest aircraft carrier, now patrolling the Caribbean and Latin American waters to stop drug trafficking and criminal networks. So for those of you who are planning their winter vacations in the Caribbean, just be aware there's a little war going on there. But the show of force is causing backlash. Britain has now stopped sharing intelligence with US on suspected drug smuggling ships in the Caribbean. They say the US missile strikes on those boats might be unlawful. Colombia followed as well. President Gustavo Petro ordered all public security forces to stop sharing intelligence with American agencies. In China, a newly built bridge collapsed just moments after it opened. A large crack in a nearby water reservoir in Sichuan province caused a sudden outburst of waters, leading the collapse of that bridge. A 758 meter, that's about 2,487 feet. A structure connecting Sichuan with Tibet. By Tuesday, a landslide hit the area, fracturing the bridge and bringing it down. Let's talk about something that will bring you up rather than bringing you down. If you feel hungry and you want a good Mediterranean shawarma, stop in to Shawarma Delight, which is in Monsey. I know you're sometimes on the way, you're stuck in Monsey, getting places. If you don't live in Monsey, Shawarma Delight is the place you shall know when you're hungry. Okay? So stop at Shawarma Delight. They open every single night till 10 p.m. or 10:30 p.m., I think. They serve delicious shawarma there, delicious shawarma. So it's worth it stopping by. 26 Spring Valley Marketplace next to Bingo. 2 minutes off exit 14, 845-272-0011. You can call them to order in advance. Come in there, mention on Edge to get a free drink, or you can go on sdny.store and bestell yourself a good shawarma and have it delivered even in Monsey. Donald J. Trump says Chicago crime has dropped dramatically because of his federal crackdown in the city. In a post on Tuesday, which he posted on Truth Social, Trump announced, "I am proud to announce that Chicago, Illinois, despite all of the radical opposition and obstruction we have from Mayor and the Governor Pritzker, they have seen car theft, shootings, robberies, violent crimes, and everything else drop dramatically. I thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America," like he always signs off. I think he did that, didn't he? Millions of Americans are still waiting for their food aid as the nation's highest court keeps the freeze in place. The Supreme Court extended its order blocking full SNAP food stamps payment program through Thursday. The USDA, which is the United States Department of Agriculture, said that it will only send out about 65% of the normal amount for now. A lower court has told the government to pay full benefits for November, but the Supreme Court stopped that order while it reviews the case. Some states have already sent full payments, others partial, and some nothing at all. Meanwhile, Congress is voting today on a bill to reopen the government after 43 days of shutdown. If it passes, full SNAP payments will resume and federal services like air travel are expected to slowly get back to normal. The Democratic Socialists of America, or the DSA as you all know, is a US-based political group that pushes for democratic socialism. The DSA is not an official political party, but a movement that pushes socialists' policies and backs candidates who share its views. Yes, you've all guessed. Zohran Mamdani is one of them. The incoming mayor of New York City. Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, first Muslim mayor in New York City's history, is a DSA member and was endorsed by the NYC DSA in his campaign. Obviously, Mamdani, who will take office in January, ran on radical platform calling for rent freezes, government-run grocery stores, and wealth redistribution. Nobody should be rich, but everyone should have everyone's money without working for a dime in their life. Now, a leaked DSA memo shows what the group expects from him. The list includes cutting off all business ties between New York City and Israel, banning Israeli products, and forcing Israeli-linked companies out of the city. It even calls for the arrest of Prime Minister Netanyahu, ending police training programs with Israel. NYPD, like you all know, gets training from the Israeli forces, and punishing charities that support the Israeli army. Jewish groups in New York are calling the memo hateful and dangerous. They say it turns the mayor's office into a weapon against Israel and the Jewish people. But remember, he's a weak person. Anyone who wants to do bad to the Jews, like Rav Sternbach says, Hashem makes him lazy, basically. He will be lazy to carry out what he promises to carry out, which he won't be able to anyway. So don't be afraid, my friends. Don't run away. If you run away, you give him strength. Don't say, I'm running away from New York City. No. Stay strong. He's just like any other politician, just saying things. Again, I'm not here to, of course you should be aware of these things, but the point is, don't be afraid. Israel's army is speaking to Iranians and Persian, pushing them to confront the regime over the water crisis, as we all know. The IDF's Persian X channel said, we recommend anyone suffering from water crisis demand answers from the regime's senior officials. They posted a picture of the Ayatollah and his people sucking out every bit of water from Iran's dry land. Iran is facing severe shortages, with major cities reporting now 90% of low reservoirs and nightly shutoffs of water. In other news in the world, speaking of Jew hatred, a Hasidic tourist, a Hasidic tourist from America, was hit in the head with a metal object at Milan's main train station in a brutal anti-Semitic attack. A group of Hasidim were waiting for a train when a 25-year-old Pakistani man started shouting anti-Semitic slurs, then began punching and kicking them. He hit one man in the head with a metal object before police arrested him. Italian authorities say the assault was clearly motivated by hate. And then, that wasn't the only chaos at a train station this week. After an investigation of an incident that happened in September, the authorities have confirmed that a Miyuni metro operator in San Francisco appeared to fall asleep at the controls. And the train, back in September, the train sped through the curve about 50 miles an hour, jolting riders. Passengers were thrown around, and some hit their heads in the glass in the windows, but the train did not derail. Meanwhile, a passenger train, speaking of trains, did derail in Buenos Aires in the Liniers district. It happened Tuesday afternoon around 3:50 p.m. local time on the Sarmiento line. The cars slipped off the track, the carriages, near a track switch. You know, where they switch the tracks on the train tracks. At least 19 people were hurt. 9 others were taken to hospitals. Rescuers cleared the cars, and service was later restored with delays. Officials say that the cause is under investigation. Early checks found no brake failures, and the driver tested negative for alcohol and drug use. Let's talk about our drivers from Arrive Express. Arrive Express drivers are fully vetted and fully checked from all sides of crime and drug and alcohol usage. They are safe drivers. Everyone knows when you book a car, they drive fast, but safely. They get you on time. Arrive Express. 845-622-1111. You shall know that, even if you don't live in Monsey, if you live in London or Antwerp, Australia, or Israel, or if you live in Lakewood and other places in Brooklyn. You should also know this. If you ever come to Monsey, you want a taxi, 845-622-1111, or from Monroe, 845-254-1111. By the way, they opened that fleet just because of our advertisement here. We made them busy. So yeah, Baruch Hashem. London activists rolled out a copycat poster campaign that looks almost identical to the Israel hostage posters, but in red. They covered streets in Westminster with free Palestinian hostages, signs and red ribbons imitating the yellow ribbon symbol that used by Israeli hostage families, like we all see on all the people supporting the release of all hostages. Well, Baruch Hashem, they're all released, besides the bodies. Jewish groups, well, by the way, just now, speaking of the hostages, they're working right now, the Hamas groups and the Red Cross together, working on digging up and finding more hostages, which they promised to release on the first day, which they didn't. And also in the other news, the Israeli Defense Forces are working on dismantling a lot of terror infrastructure in Gaza right now, in Rafah area. Jewish groups and hostage families say the lookalike posters mock their pain and blur the differences between terrorists and civilians held by Hamas. In Moscow, Russia's big moment in robotics turned into a live flop. They're busy with a war, but they're also busy with a war in AI. Aldol, a new humanoid robot designed to show Russian tech innovation, made its public debut this week and immediately collapsed on stage. Aldol was built to walk, interact, and show human emotions with facial expressions, but after this fall, the only thing it showed was how far Russia still has to go in building reliable AI machines. Speaking of AI machines, Saudi Arabia also showed off their robots too. They put its robots on stage to dance the national Arda. The robots stepped in line with the drums and swords, copying the movements of the traditional men's dance called Arda. It's a Saudi folk dance with rows of men, drums, and poetry. With the whole thing, it's performed at national events. And with that, my friends, remember that when you talk about robotics and the race of robotics, there's no race in really lending money for your investments. Once you go to, have you signed up to the course? If you haven't signed up, sign up now to the real estate specialist course in Yiddish given in Monsey and in Borough Park by Aaron Gottlieb. It's less than 4 days left to sign up. So my friends, sign up fast. YS Capital Group is the place you should go to get your loan for investment. Direct lending, so there's no banks and red tape, and also there's no closing costs. Yeah, there's no closing costs, and when they say no fees attached, there's no fees attached. So call them at 718-831-2168. Get your few $1 million on a good rate as well from YS Capital Group, and have a wonderful day with that, my friends. Stay informed and stay on edge. We'll see. On edge.